Hello and welcome to the Quackcast. I'm Ozone Ocean, and with me is Banes and Tantz Serene.
Hello.
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 I have skin
covered
in it. How about you guys?
I'm covered in teeth.
That's terrifying.
Oh dear. So this week we're talking about rendering skin, painting skin, drawing skin, all that kind of thing. So it's quite an interesting topic. It can be difficult. Before we get into that,
Skin.
all right. Well, yeah, the skin of my teeth. That seems like a good title, I reckon.
You know, painting teeth is also technically something you should do in layers because
I hate painting
it's not
teeth.
totally white.
I hate doing teeth. I hate them so much. I just cheat and do a line of white or a line of yellowy white, whatever. Okay. All right.
You can see it on my avatar with my mouth hanging open with a strip of white.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Always.
I just like to just imply like different teeth by the black outline, like the black of the mouth.
The cavity. The cavity. Cavity is not a good word to use for mouths because it means something specific. The void. The void behind.
The gap, I guess. I don't know.
The open mouth.
You know that trick where you'll just draw a few bricks to imply a brick wall. Just draw here and there. That doesn't really work for teeth.
You know what it does? If you just draw the canine when you can, of course, if someone is grinning a lot, then you just do a little.
You're right. Actually, it does work. You just suggest or imply the lines between the teeth. That is true.
Yeah.
It's
tiny, not even the whole line, like just a little bit of an indentation.
It's not easy. All right, before we get into the weeds. Featured comic was
drawing weeds. Don't get me started on
Don't make me swear at you, Banes. Okay. Featured comic was History. Quai, tell us about history.
Hello, this is Quackcast, and the feature I've selected for this week is History by Slick Puppy, and it is rated M for mature. Jeffrey Thurgood says, few people recognize or understand the most important moment of their lives while it is happening to them, while reminiscing about the first encounter with his wife, Tixiana. The meeting was love at first sight for the orphaned, bookish apprentice, Professor Scroggins, who admired Tixie's fighting prowess. Jeffrey and Tixie are in the process of writing a biography of their lives as a cross-folk married couple with the help of student scribe Milo. The art is digitally colored in full-length comic pages. Flashback scenes are shown in monochromatic orange or sepia tones. Learn the secret legends of the Ozdri, once mankind's friends, and read History by Slick Puppy, rated M.
That was quite talking about history. Okay, so now it's going to be the not Banes, it's going to be good old Gomolus and his music, which was, let's see, The Inheritors. This is an interesting mix. It starts off with a slow stepped drum beat that sounds a bit like the intro to Slave by the Rolling Stones, then crashes into a dubstep and ray guns and sci-fi blasters, before moving into a classical music-inspired race of synth violins, flutes, cellos, and other sneaky instruments, then arrives at its destination, an electrified barrier where yellow and black diagonal lines bar the way. So take it away, Gumballs, with your theme to The Inheritors. was Gumwallace with Inheritors, which is a great comic by Raymond Noodles. Does he rhyme noodles? Oh, Raymond Noodles. Okay, there we are.
Ramen noodles?
Yeah. Ramen. Yeah, I don't know. Ramen noodles, and the comic's rated T. This is quite an interesting little topic. Because it's a lot harder than you think to paint skin. I mean, you could do it really easy. So the easiest way to do skin is just to pick a color and just do a flat tone in that color. And then it's skin. That's the easiest way. Basic. Yep. But that's not what we're talking about. Because why would we have a whole Quackcast about that?
Even that, like drawing digitally, I found as a, amateur artist, just like a pre-existing color is what I would usually use for almost everything. But the skin color always looks different in different softwares that you use, and I've found that the Caucasian skin color never looks quite good. I almost always have to play with it a little bit to get a color that looks kind of good.
Yeah, you need to tweak stuff to get the right version that works for you. But yeah, so like a flat tone, you've got to pick the right tone if you're just going to do a flat tone. So yeah, that's definitely true. And then there's the more complicated painterly kind of ways of doing it, where you get more complicated. And that's based on the ambient light in a room or the ambient light in whatever situation you are, how you render that, because things change depending on the environment. And there are quite a few ways of doing it. Quite a number of ways of doing it. One of the typical ways, like I explained this in the videocast, the Patreon videocast, the ways I do the skin, but I made a mistake. I made a huge freaking error. Okay, so for Pinky TA early on, I did, I've always done painterly skin in Pinky TA. So it's complicated painterly skin. But I used to do it in a very easy way, because I'd always do what I would call a fake painterly way of doing it. Because if you're doing a real painterly way of doing skin, then it depends very much on your ambient light and the ambient colors around you. Not only the specific skin tone of the person, but how that is changed by the colors in the environment. So the fake way I would do it would always be like a tonal skin. So we'd have light tones, a mid-tone, and a dark tone, and regardless of what the colors are in the environment. So, and that sort of does look good, and it sort of always is passable. So that's a good way of doing it. But I don't always do it in a mid-tone, a highlight, and a dark tone. Sometimes I will do the mid-tone is actually a purple. So for Caucasian, well, I don't like to use the word Caucasian, but for light-colored skin, I will do a purple, because purple is the opposite of light pink, basically. Well, not light pink, sort of yellowy, that kind of yellowy skin tone, that yellowy, tanny color, and purple is the opposite. And if you're using opposite colors, that automatically makes things look more painterly and more clever and more interesting, rather than just using a darker tone. So that's a much better thing to use. And so the way I would do it in this fake way of doing it, I'd do like the highlight color would be like that would be my generic color for the skin. Then the dark tones, well, the mid-tone, so to speak, but whatever, it's a darker tone. That will be in the shadowy kind of areas, like underarms and the side that's basically opposite the light side. and then the dark tone, which is the like I have the purple thing, that will be in the middle. So that is a line. It is the penumbra, I like to call it, which is the line that separates light from dark, but it is a darker tone, and that makes the shadow stand out more. You know, the bits in the shaded part, which are in the mid-tone, that makes them stand out a lot more than it would be if you just had the shade next to the light. So you have a dark line. Because in reality, when you look at any kind of shadow, your eyes will tend to see things that way. So you'll have a shadow, but you'll have a darker line that separates it from the light. It's not just the light and then going to the shadow. There's a darker kind of border.
Right.
So keep in
I
mind.
never would have noticed that, but I'm looking at Pinky TA as you're talking about it. Seeing how you do this. That's so cool. Wow.
Keep in mind the penumbra. It's a very important thing. And a great word to use because no one ever uses that word. So there you go.
Yeah, that's incredibly smart, as a matter of fact. I'll now try to use it in my next page.
I'll try too, and on mine you'll see just a solid purple line.
Sometimes I do it that way, and it's I fall into doing it. But yeah, it's incredibly easy to do, and it's very effective. So try using that. Well, the more painterly version is, of course, when you take into account the environmental colors, which change your skin color. So your character might be, okay, so this character has a certain kind of, I don't know, pale skin. But if you put them in a room lit by red lights, they're not going to be that pale skin color. They're going to be a very different color depending on what lights are illuminating this person. Or if they're in a dark room, their normally light skin is going to appear like darker on the page because the room is shaded. Or maybe they're just under the shade of a tree. So you've got to take into account how that works.
And if there is like a specific color light that is falling against the person's skin, some of that is going to be reflected. So you have to add some shade of that light's color in your highlights, at least, which is something I've had to learn for Verdant, with all the magic stuff, and yeah, it's been a challenge.
You do. It can be hard to work with environmental light, but it's rewarding, and the more you do it, the better you become, and soon that's what you're doing all the time.
Yeah.
So it's environmental light. You can do a lot of interesting stuff with environmental light, especially if you've got like say in Pinky TA, there might be lighted buttons that she's pressing. So each of those are going to illuminate the fingers in different ways, like with red lights or green lights or whatever. And that looks amazing on a character, and then it shows they're really like immersed in their environment. Or if they've got instrument panels that are lit, and then so those are all red and they light the face in a certain way. So it's very rewarding. I like it. I'm looking through early pages of Pinky TA, and oh my god, my way of doing the skin is very, very basic. Just mid and dark tones. It doesn't become.
I don't know. It looks beautiful in your early pages too. So.
Oh, thank you. It doesn't become cleverer until later on, I think. Yeah, I don't know.
One thing that I like now, I mean, each comic has its different challenges in the sense that when you paint for a story that is set in reality, you have different challenges than when you're doing a fantasy story with, magic and creatures and, all of these different things. And I have had to learn to draw skin tones that aren't real, like a green skinned person, for example, or an actual white person. When I say white, I mean like white, not
Yeah,
the
like pale white or something.
Yeah.
yeah
Like
albino.
a polar bear.
Yeah, and or orange. And when I say like actual orange person, um,
Like me.
yeah, but
I guess-
you have fair, so fair
yeah,
is
that's
different
true. Yeah, that's true.
than skin. And it's a challenge. I mean, when I first started, practicing how to color these skin tones, it didn't look like skin as much. If you go the usual way, pick a skin tone, darker shade, highlight and stuff, it looked more like face paint at best. And so usually now what I do is I also incorporate other colors that are left and right of the color wheel, in the color wheel of where that color is, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So for the green skin person, there is I might be making a mistake because I never remember the color wheel. I have to look at it. So it might not be adjusted, and I apologize. But for the green skinned person, there is a lot of yellow in there as well. And there is also some pink that you cannot see, and there is also some blue in it as well that I use.
So pink would be the opposite, and then the blue and the yellow are the bracketed colors, complementary versus the contrast.
Thank you for saying this.
Full of texture. I was looking at your comics too as you're talking on Patreon about this stuff, and like they're just full of textures. And
oh, thank you.
As you're just reading the stories, I kind of miss those things. Like I don't even realize it, but yeah, then you look back and you see how full of different texture and all these different colors that are incorporated into it. It's like it's amazing.
Thank you. And the most difficult skin tone was the white. For the white flower witch, because it's white. What do you do with white? So I have purple, gray, green, and blue in there. So
interesting, yeah, because you can't just do a grey shading on white skin, because then that would be very, very kind of boring or just weird. Because that would be
she
a pure
would look
white
dead.
person.
She would basically look dead or a ghost or something like
marble or something.
Yeah. And I want her skin to look alive and healthy, because these are healthy people, unlike in Without Moonlight. So she has to look like it's her skin tone that is a normal, quote unquote, skin tone.
Yeah, a living skin tone.
Yes, exactly.
It's doing people with different skin tones that are unnatural. Has certainly challenges. Although it's not that different from drawing clothes, I suppose, because those are not natural skin tones, but they still cover a person. So it's related to that.
It is, but I think like with clothes, unless you have like a translucent or see-through clothes, you can
all the time, Tantz, all the time. I just strutting around.
You can. What I'm saying is that you can get away with more typical shading. And like a solid color for the text for the fabric, and then you just follow that fabric's rules, like if it is silk, if it is cotton or whatever, and you go from there. Whereas with skin, it's a bit more. It doesn't need to. The clothes don't need to look alive. That would be creepy. So.
Yes, that's true. And skin clings. Well, actually, drawing skin's more fun because then you can do all the body shape and stuff like that, which you can't do when you're doing clothing. So all that has to be hidden, which is a different challenge.
Unless you're like a superhero and you can see abs through the shirt.
Yes, how does that work? Like they spray on hairspray or glue on their bodies first, and then they dress themselves, or their clothes are just sprayed on spray paint.
Exactly.
That's really weird.
Or it's like the tightest shapewear ever. Like I don't know if you ever caught that shapewear by like one of the Kardashians that it's basically a sock that you wear, so it clings onto you like like it wants to kill you. So yeah, that would do it, I guess.
That would look horrible on me. My God.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's sculpts, I guess. So you would look very sculpted.
Yeah, it depends though. Yeah, it's that could go either way. Oh dear. Yeah, that is weird the way they make the clothes cling, and it doesn't work with. So if you have like the male superheroes, so they've got the hard muscles, that kind of thing. Like maybe that could work, but say it's a female superhero, and they've still got the separated boobs covered in the fabric. That would be impossible, because if the fabric is compressing, then it would compress the boobs to nothing. So
exactly. Thank you.
Oh dear.
Unless you know how that would happen, what they are drawing. The suit would have to have boob pouches. So they would need to
pockets.
A pocket for each boob. Then you get that. Then you would get. I mean, assuming that you have like a D cup and above, I guess, because.
Yeah, because you're not going to be able to have enough to put in the pocket otherwise. And then you've got the bum pockets as well for anyone who has protuberant buttocks. Globular buttocks.
Exactly. Which is bound to be super uncomfortable, because imagine what happens in between. It's not like boobs that has nothing in between.
Exactly. Oh dear, the superheroes and the what they have to go through for their outfits. Poor superheroes. Unlike and we have real actors playing them now in the movies, obviously, the whole Marvel universe and everything like that, but their outfits have the muscles inside, like the actors build themselves up, obviously, with they sculpt themselves, but the outfits also add extra muscles. So that's why those costumes can appear to be clinging to all the muscles, because those muscles are fabricated into the clothes. So they don't actually cling to your muscles at all.
Yeah, some kind of foam, and it's probably that must have started with Batman, maybe.
Yeah,
Michael Keaton Batman. He had the sort of armored-looking suit with like abs built in and like sort of all the muscles built in.
And there's also the Clooney Batman with the nipples and.
Yes, then they took it even farther.
Clooney and Kilmer.
And the buttocks, yeah.
Oh yeah, I was super disappointed in that. So then we've got I think the Kilmer the Clooney, like you say. So Robin and him have the nipples, but then they had the Batgirl. She didn't have nipples, and I thought, oh my god, I was so disappointed. I thought that was, if they're gonna do it for them, why don't they do it for her?
That was sexist, actually. You could
Exactly.
say
Really, it is. I mean,
Yeah.
the director, I read something about that, and the director said like that would be pornographic, which it's a fair point. Maybe he could have pulled back all across the board, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to do them for the males, then I mean, maybe she needs to feed her bat babies, you know.
Maybe don't do it.
Baby
right.
bats.
But, yeah.
Who knows? But we're not. This isn't the nipple cast.
Tune in next week. Yeah.
Yes.
Next week we could talk about, all the appendages and how to
appendage cast. The appendage cast. Why not?
I would see like splotchiness, like sort of I don't know what the term is, but like an airbrush look maybe of red on faces, even in simple, like even on like a very simple cover, cartoonish style, they would have sort of a blush. I sometimes will do that, not often, but sometimes like a blush, just a low opacity red or pink even on the cheeks. And I've read artistic advice about like sort of there's more yellow in the chin on a lot of people and more white on the forehead on top of the base. I haven't really been able to make that work.
Stop commenting on my face, Banes. How rude.
I don't see that in real life. But, yeah, I've done the blushy thing a little bit, but usually I only do it if the character is blushing.
Yeah.
That's effective. Freckles around the face are, pretty cool as well. Like on the nose, the cheeks up here. Could be pretty good.
Headface does a lot of freckly characters. It looks really good, actually.
Yeah, all the time. Because, people's skin has mottles and weird stuff all over it. Which we see if we do this Quackcast using Google Meet, whatever it's called. Because the cameras there are really... shows every freaking detail on your face. That's why we hate it. We're doing Zoom instead now because Zoom makes us look pretty and perfect.
Yeah. Everyone has like perfect skin.
Exactly.
Which now brings me to, there's also like drawing makeup on the skin. Which especially for Without Moonlight, I have had to draw some ladies wearing makeup, or one basically wearing makeup. And she had to. I also had to follow like the 1940s rules for makeup beyond everything else, and sometimes it was a bit of a challenge, because it had to look like she wasn't, a clown, but also had to be, and also on the other hand, she had to have very, like almost provocative makeup, because she banks, it's Irish, she banks on her sexiness to, string along the SS guy, and on the other hand, she has to not look like a clown. So that was it.
Makeup is very hard. You either make it look like a 5-year-old did the makeup, whereas like you say, a clown, or like experienced one. But as you say, it changes by the era. So 1940s makeup is very different from 1920s or 2025. 1970s makeup even is, and 60s makeup is very different. So and learning how to do that is hard.
Yeah, you definitely need to look up. I did, at least, for eyebrow shape and what shades they used and how they used it, and they shaded all the way up to the eyebrow and all of that.
Very
So-
thin eyebrows back then. Very,
Yeah.
very thin.
Or either very thin or super, almost artificially shaped, thick. Like either or. There were two styles.
Really? Okay.
And of course, the cherry red lips all the time.
Yeah, a certain lip shape, because back in the 1920s, they had the famous bow, which was a very very kissy lips, but very small mouths. That's what they focused on, making your lips look a beautiful, perfect bow shape. But into the 1930s, you got bigger, luscious kind of lips, and then into the 40s, it's changed again into thinner lips, I suppose. So
Yeah, it wasn't thinner necessarily. It's just the shape, the shade of the red changed. And then when the war ended, again, they got the victory red that was like almost like a uniform thing that every woman in the West at least had as a symbol of the victory for some reason. I remember reading what the reason was, but I forget right now. So I have to not have Iris have that shade of red, but she also has to have red lips. And those red lips have to look like she has very carefully, pencil dipped in.
painted it, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not natural.
Yeah.
Yeah, for Bottomless Waitress, I focus on makeup for the characters because they're working. They're waitresses. It's a whole, themed restaurant, and they have to look a certain way, so they have makeup. But sometimes they don't have makeup, and that's like on the off hours when they're out of work. When Jane was very depressed because of her philandering boyfriend, who got mascara running and stuff, and then she washes her face, and then she's obviously not wearing makeup. So it changes what the face looks like when you're not wearing makeup, because lips are not an obvious feature on most people. If they're not being highlighted, they look totally different. And eyes as well, and eyebrows and all that kind of thing. Your face changes massively. When you're used to, everyone's used to seeing Pamela Anderson and certain actors in a way, you always see them wearing makeup because that's how they always come across. And then when you on models too, and the rare times when you don't see them wearing makeup, it's oh my god, because you don't have a reason to see them without makeup normally because you're not living with them. Whereas with real people, not real people, but like people who you meet in everyday life or work with, they don't always have a reason to do that. So you can see their normal face, and that is the normal way you see them. But what I'm trying to say is these certain people, the normal way to see them is with makeup because of their job and the way you interact with them. Sorry, Tantz, I'm sort of talking.
No, I agree. And if you see them without makeup, especially not in a tagged photo or something, you might not even recognize the person that they are, this actress, that actress, or whoever. Or even a guy, especially Asian actors.
Koreans, yes.
Not just Koreans. I mean,
they love their makeup.
Yeah, me too. I really like it, honestly. I like mascara on men, or Western men as well, but they don't wear it as much. Because I do think that highlighting the contour of your eye is always good to do. But the whole makeup thing is going to also change the face of your character if you draw them with and without, and you have to keep that in mind. You might actually need to specifically draw the eyes smaller without makeup.
Because eyes are made to look bigger because of the eyeshadow and mascara and stuff. So
yeah, absolutely. like as a personally, for example, I don't wear makeup on my day-to-day life because it's a nuisance to take off.
And it's
Basically.
expensive to use too.
Yeah, that too, but mostly it's a nuisance to take off. I'm lazy when it comes to that. But even when you put just mascara, not any eyeliner, any eye shade or anything like that, just the way the eyelashes pan out make your eyes look bigger. So, and we don't usually draw the eyelashes on a character. So that's why I would suggest if you want specifically a character to have no makeup on, just draw the eyes smaller, just a little bit smaller, to indicate that the mascara is on.
One of the contradictions is that for older people, wearing the mascara makes their eyes look smaller. Because not all older people, but often it does when people have their eyes don't open as wide anymore, and then the blackness. If you don't open your eyes as wide anymore, they're more shaded. Mm-hmm. So then, if you add black around the eyes, it makes them look even more shaded and more hidden. So that can be an issue. So if you're not opening your eyes wide, then it's not a good idea to put that kind of stuff on there because it makes them look even more hidden. So. Yeah,
or if you are like a person like me and you have an iron deficiency that just will not go, you will have black circles all around your eye, not just under your eye. So either use the black circles as your shading base and work with that, or use a lot of concealer and basically use green and then the concealer to cancel it out because it will not live with that concealer. I have found out. So.
Interesting. So Tantz is telling us that she is a panda.
Basically, yes. Like, look at this. I mean, can't you see that? Like, it's totally all black circles. And, I have had to...
Very good, Tantz. A lot of people would be like painting that in to give themselves that classic look.
You're very kind. I don't see it, but thank you. But I have had to change my ID card and took photos for that. And I basically look like a panda. There's nothing I can do about it because they don't allow you to wear makeup. So.
Oh, how unfortunate.
I'm a panda.
Well, it is a good effect. It looks cool, and a lot of people used to really that look used to be very popular at various stages in history because, of course, there was the consumption. What was that?
Yes.
Tuberculosis. That would give you that look, but it was also very popular to have because people looked very arty and bohemian if they had that look. So it became popular outside of not having a disease.
Yeah.
And then again in I think the 70s and the 80s that again became popular. They called it heroin chic, but you didn't necessarily have to be a heroin addict to have that look. It was just it became popular.
Yeah. Lots of weird preferences over the ages. So.
Well, if you go back to ancient Egypt, that was very popular to have the kohl, I think they called it. That's the English version of the word, which was the black around the eyes. I don't know what the how you pronounce it in Greek or Egyptian, but yeah, kohl is what they would call it. Do you know what that blackness around the eye was called?
Not really, but I'll look it up right now in Greek. Yeah, right now my brain refuses to retrieve information, so I'll just look it up.
I think it was Kohl.
Call Egyptian. It's Egyptian.
But obviously you see it like very, very noticeably, say in hieroglyphics where they have the eye hieroglyph. It has this very specific line around it. And that's based on the reality of, how they would paint their eyes. And you see it in the statues and all the kind of imagery where it's...
I'm trying to get, all right, call, cosmetics. Where are the different languages? Come on. I'll be pissed if it doesn't have Greek.
I don't know why Banes isn't chiming in on this because he's always wearing makeup all the time. So he's like the expert.
Yeah, it never comes off.
So Greek says call as well. So.
Okay, well, there we go. It probably comes from Greek.
Probably.
Apparently the word Egyptian comes from Greek as well.
No, I don't think so.
Is that what they used to call the Egyptians? Because the Egyptians didn't call themselves Egyptians. They called themselves...
Yeah, I think they called it... oh my God, I knew that. I even made like a paper on this whole thing. How they were called. Oh my goodness, I don't remember. I really don't.
Mez or something. But this isn't the Egyptian cast.
Yeah.
So you won't go into that. But yeah, makeup is an interesting way of changing faces in various ways. Mainly culturally we'll limit it to the female characters, but as Tantz says, it's okay to put it on the male characters as well. It's just not as common culturally unless you're doing, something historical and set during the I don't know what, the 17th century, where everyone's face is covered in creative makeup.
Right, so the answer, the Egyptians called themselves Kemet.
Oh, there you go. Kemet.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah, and now it has a whole controversy, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay.
They call themselves what they call themselves.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Right, so makeup changes faces in various ways. And yeah, like we were saying, like lips and eyeshadow and mascara, eyeliner, various things like that. And yeah, like a blush under the blush, all that. But as we were saying as well, it depends on the era. So if you're going to do someone in 2000's era, they're going to have very different look than, say, if you're doing a comic based in the 17th century, where people powder their faces white totally with a little tiny, beauty mark on their face, and they have little pink lips or whatever. And I think that fashion evolved because they were inspired by Chinese people, because there was a colonialism was happening everywhere, where the colonialists were imposing themselves on all these other people, but they're also being influenced by them as well. And the influence that came back from China was things like having tea and all that kind of stuff, but it was also the makeup, and everybody would be suddenly wearing makeup because makeup had been something that was worn by men and women in China and Japan for centuries. They'd have totally white faces, and they'd have little blush marks and little red lips and everything like that. Very, very creative. So there we are. There's makeup going all the way back in history in not just European countries, but all over the place.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you have to paint that. Congratulations. well, you have to paint it if you are making a comic in those eras or inspired by those cultures, either or.
Interesting in people with darker skin in all over the world. You know, we've got India, we've got like Melanesia, we've got Australia, Africa, where you have people with dark skin. The makeup there, well, you had a lot of face paint. And face paint shows up really, really well on darker skin if it's really light. So it was very popular to have white paint or white, I don't know, white makeup that would, doing various patterns and stuff like that, and lighter stuff on the faces rather than dark, because dark's pretty pointless if your skin's already quite dark. So that's quite interesting, and that would have different effects.
Yeah. Or, brighter, more saturated colors, blue and red and stuff like that. So.
And then when we talk, like if we go to Polynesia, then we've got tattoos on the face, which is a very popular thing for men and women. So the tattoos would be all over the place. The ladies would have different tattoos to the men. So the faces would have very, very different appearance. So you can't just, do the male tattoos on everyone's face. You can't just do the female tattoos on everyone's face. And they're not all the same. So Polynesian people in, I don't know, Samoa or New Zealand or Hawaii or Tuvalu or something like that, it's all going to be totally different depending on the specific culture. So you can't be generic when you're doing that. You have to study and know the people.
Yeah, absolutely. Which, talking about studying, you have to study extra, I think, at least for me, to paint the skin that isn't yours. I mean, for example, painting Black people or painting Asian people, all kinds of Asian people, like Indians or Mongol people, or any, let alone Koreans and Chinese, and all the range of Chinese, by the way, and all that. For me, is daunting as a task. So I always find that I have to go and look up, like, what artist has that skin tone and paints that skin tone, and is there a palette that they are saying is appropriate, first of all, because that's another thing. I don't want to paint another race in a way that comes across as stereotypical.
And then racist, which is what you can...
or either or. I mean, it may not come across as necessarily racist, but even stereotypical is something that you don't want when depicting characters that are not going to be caricatures. I find that my brain processes how to paint my skin tone and adjacent skin tones a lot better and easier than skin tones that I'm not familiar with. Never assume is my takeaway, and always go to those people that live in that skin to get to your things. So
yeah, it is tricky. I mean, we said in the video cast that skin tone is made up of 4 colors. We've got black, red, yellow, and white, because white is the color of skin, the actual membrane that covers our bodies. That's white. Then we have melanin, which is a black tone, which we all have in various degrees. We have red, which is the iron oxide in blood, and that suffuses our skin because we have capillaries all through our skin. So that's red. And red, seen through that whiteness, goes pink, which is interesting. And then we have yellow as well, which is another tone through our skin. And these colors all together make up all skin tones in the whole world, because there's no such thing as black skin or white skin or red skin or yellow skin. It's just tones of brown made up of those 4 colors.
Mhm.
But those 4 colors can be, create quite amazing, different looking skin tones. And it can be very hard to render if you're not used to doing that. Doing like Tantz is saying, so if you're a very white skinned person like Tantz and I, it's very tricky to learn how to draw people's skin that isn't like very light.
Mhm.
Especially if you're doing much darker skin, which reacts differently to shading, shadows and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And which is why, like, because I generally make my life harder in art. In Verdant, I have specifically told myself that the people in Verdant that aren't witches and have the weird skin tones, they are going to have a very wide range of skin tones. So you have like a pale to very dark brown. And there is a reason for that I'm not going to go into it now. They have combinations of colors that you won't normally genetically encounter in real life, and that is to basically imply that we are not in a world that is on Earth. But I do want the full range as much as possible of skin tones for those that are not witches. So.
Oh, okay. So we'll have a rainbow of people.
Basically, yeah. But they have like it's like they evolved differently, and you have like red hair with a darker skin and stuff like that. So.
It's interesting. It reminds me of the famous Robert E. Howard and how he was, doing his world building for his Hyperborean age or whatever it was, where Conan was set. And he had various people with various different skin tones, and it was quite interesting. Conan himself was not a white dude. Conan himself had quite dark skin. He was meant to have it anyway, and dark hair and brown eyes. That's how Conan looked. And then the chief adversaries of Conan were the Stygian people. And they're not really chief adversaries. They're like an ancient race, an ancient civilization who had specialized in magic and stuff like that, and quite dark magic. And these people had very dark, almost black skin, but bright, piercing blue eyes. So that was not something that we have in our world. So that was like him creating an alien kind of, people for his fantasy world, the same as you're doing.
Yay! Oh, so, that's I feel flattered now.
So it helps to come up with unusual combinations of things, and it's the one other important thing to remember. Although we have like a lot of generic kind of ways we think. Okay, so Asian people have all black hair. Monolid eyes and certain looks. They have a certain kind of like a palish skin they have yellow tones. But no, like there's a massive variation with Asian people. They're not just all fitting into that particular stereotype. The same with African people, are massively varied with skin tones and looks and appearances. And so-called white people, again, there's massive variations all through, and whatever ethnic groupings we can think, Persian people, Arab people, whatever, like Jewish people, there's massive variations. So never get caught up in doing, like we were saying before, like Tantz mentioned, stereotypes for people.
Yeah, definitely. And generally, as I grow older, I recognize, quote unquote, the race less and less. Like it's so subjective. where do you draw the line on the spectrum on who is white, who is black, who is red, yellow, or whatever else. That's basically it comes down to let's divide ourselves and be at odds and consider everyone else that isn't looking like us alien. And I don't like that, and I consider it less and less a feature, like a categorization. I don't know if I'm making sense right now, but
I feel the same way.
Yeah, and especially this is even more for whiteness, because if you look at whiteness over the ages, who qualifies as white tremendously changes depending on socioeconomic factors. And for example, the starkest example would be during the 40s. So when Hitler was trying to woo the Greeks to accept, the occupation and cheer on the invasion, we were white, and the progenitors of the Aryans, and what have you, all that. When the Greeks showed the axis, the finger, beyond the whole Italian thing, and rejected Hitler as well, we suddenly became mongrels and not white, like within the same year. And we became the descendants of bastards, basically.
Yes.
Nothing to do with the ancient Greeks, because those were the white guys. No, you are not, their descendants and blah, blah, blah. Why? Because he needed to eradicate, and commit genocide. So, yeah.
Yeah, they're very much about origins of things and how it confers legitimacy, which is fucking nonsense. Like even the word Caucasian is a frickin' white supremacy nonsense term, because it comes from a white supremacist in the United States in the late 1800s, and he was thinking, where did white people come from? Well, I like the people of the Caucasus region in Central Asia. I think they're the most beautiful people in the world, so I think all white people came from them. So I'm gonna now call white people Caucasian, and of course, I didn't know Europeans. That. Europeans have nothing to do with Caucasians at all. The Caucasus people, who are Turkic, they from Turkish, well, not Turkish, but Turkic kind of background, and they're very specific and have nothing to do with like Western Europeans at all in any way.
And also the name, like the term Aryan, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is also poached, because actual Aryans are Persian people. So
yeah, that's Iranian. That's where the name comes from. Iranian. So yeah, there's nothing to do with white people again. So it's all nonsense.
Interesting.
Exactly.
A deep dive. Skin diving? Skin deep?
Skin diving. Oh my god.
Brainstorming titles maybe for this episode.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with being so white, European or whatever. It's just that it's stupid to try and confer some sort of greatness onto it.
Yeah.
No one is great for what their skin tone is. We're just people, humans. Doesn't matter.
Exactly. And
what we have.
Yeah, we are all on a spectrum of the same palette, as you said, Oz. So
it's funny. One of the interesting things are white people, like people with like pale skin, didn't exist until about 6,000 years ago. I think maybe it was a bit earlier than that, but it was not something that was always existed as a strange mutation. So there we are. And of course, as we know, all our humans when we began as Homo sapiens had black skin. So, and that's not like being woke or whatever. That's just scientific and genetic, because people originated in Africa and spread out from there
Yeah, and
changed.
and there's, I don't know. I mean, I'm so tired of all this whole, because it's this effort to create like the humanity's most stupid pyramid of let's rank people by color. It makes no sense in any way. No way at all. So.
No, ranking people by skin tone or ethnic origin or whatever is just always dumb.
Yeah.
It's dumb. But oh my god, I'm tired. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm rambling.
Oh.
So let's cease the Quackcast and we'll go on to do other things. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for listening to Quackcast number 728.
The Skincast.
The Skincast. Oh my god. Okay.
I feel a great kinship or skinship with all of you.
Yeah. Skinship.
Kindred
That
spirits.
sounds.
I don't know, there's so many ways to.
Yeah. I don't know.
Kindred spirits.
Do we really want to call it a Skincast? It sounds racist.
Yes.
For some reason.
We so do.
Skin diving. I like skin diving. I like skin deep.
Skin deep.
Mm.
Oh, one of my
Maybe
favorite
some better.
songs.
Yeah. I would go with Banes for that.
Which one?
The Skin Deep.
Skin Deep.
The skin deep.
Yeah.
That's my favorite song by or my second favorite song by the Stranglers. Is that their name?
I have no idea.
Do you know them, Banes?
I don't know them. I don't know the song.
The Stranglers.
Through this whole episode, my brain kept going to, I am covered in skin. What song is that? Like
No, well, Stranglers is
REM or something, maybe. But I don't know the Stranglers tune.
Well, the Stranglers had a couple of popular songs. Now you would know Golden Brown.
Maybe.
Golden brown, texture like sun, lays me down, with my mind she runs, throughout the night, no need to fight, never a frown, with golden brown. It's an amazing song. It's so cool. But Skin Deep was their big popular.
Pancakes, right? Is it about making?
Yeah. Making pancakes with heroin. Yeah, that's it. They had a famous song called "The Skin Deep," which is about dealing with people who are not to be trusted.
Mm.
Okay, right. Yeah.
The Skin Deep, and yeah, it reminds me of your titles you're bringing out. Skin Deep. There we are.
Yeah.
But we can't use that music, unfortunately, because we can't afford it, and we don't want to be sued.
So
I love that movie, Skin Deep, with John Ritter. I always love that.
Oh God, is that the one where they have the dick fight in?
Yeah, I didn't love that part as much as people did, but that was very. I love that movie though. It was like sad.
That was
funny, very good.
I just mainly remember the famous lightsaber fight. That wasn't lightsabers.
Right. I think it was famous for that scene. Yeah.
Glow in the dark condoms.
Okay, I have not seen that.
Taz's face is frozen.
No, I'm just trying to picture it, and I'm not sure I want to. So.
No, I think we took Tantz out of ever seeing that movie.
Okay, well, this has been the Skin Deep Cast 728. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye bye.